What's going on, YouTube? This is Wayne with Wayne's Fish World. I'm coming at you guys today, and I want to talk about something. I got some great things lined up for you guys. I've got some amazing ideas. Nobody's ever seen this shit coming. Oh my god, I'm bringing you so much more. We're going to cover so much more topics on this channel. We're going to cover Iwagumi. We're going to cover shrimp tanks. We're going to cover some stuff that I'm not even going to tell you about, and I'm not too sure about because I haven't figured it all out. The main thing, I'm having a plan, as King of Dirt says, Dustin Wunderlich. He always says, have a plan, and that's what I'm doing right now, having a plan. New York Stilo, if you don't know where he went at, long story short, I'm not going to get in his personal matters, but he says when he feels it, he's going to get back into it. Hopefully he does, but that's up to him. He's given his knowledge to YouTube already. He's did his time. I know he's doing all right, but hopefully he feels his groove back in. Some of you new guys know what's going on with that. But New York Stilo always says, have patience. Dustin says, have a plan. I say, have dedication. And that's what really takes those three things to come together to own an aquarium, a successful aquarium. But I'm having a plan. I'm getting my thoughts together, contemplating and just thinking about what's the cheapest, best way about it, the most economical, every little variable I can think of, not just the simple things, but even the most complex variables. That way I know I'm more likely for success when I jump into this. Now, no matter what you do, guys, you're always going to run into shit. Like, I'll give you an example right here. This really, it doesn't break my heart because I've seen some fish lost. This guy right here, this is my my lace marble. It's a beautiful fish. He's got I forgot the term for it. I did my research on it. He's got tumors on his lips. I can do two things. I can either cut him off or let him die. And how I cut him off, I got to do surgery. I got to put him down and put him to sleep and then cut him off. I got to do my research on the surgery. I might have the guts to do it. I can skin a deer with no problem, but I don't know if I can cut off my own little fish. It's my little buddy right there. So I'm going to contemplate that because he can't eat. But long story short, guys, like I'm saying, no matter what you do, you're always going to run into problems, even if you try to prevent it. That's just what's going to happen. But you got to have a plan. That way you can minimize these problems. But guys, today I want to talk about growing plants immersed and submerged, and how you get those plants from above water, immersed, acclimated into submerged water. There's a couple different things you can do, but like I said, guys, in the future, I got so many things coming, guys. I've got different varieties, different tanks, different species. Wayne's Fish World, I'm going to be calling it Wayne's Galaxy for the people who are subscribed to me or something like that. I'm not too sure. That's not in stone. Check out my 31 surf bait tetras. I'm going to shut up about this stuff. Let's talk about the topic of the video and immersed plants. Guys, you guys see this picture of, let's say, Pogostamen stellatus. It's a beautiful plant, it gets pinks and reds and oranges into it, and you see a picture, it looks like that, but when you get it, it's got leaves like that. And what those leaves are immersed leaves. Immersed leaves mean above water. It was grown above water. Now what happens with that is either they do two things. They do the complex route, which they probably don't take, and they make the air really, really humid, and they mist it. That way the plants are still moist and the plants grow and they get all that excess CO2. Or this is the way they probably do it. They have a grow bed of, let's say, Loelia inclinata cuba, which is that right there. And what they do is, like, say the pond they grow all these plants in, like Seagrass Farm or something, they'll have like a 16-foot long trout of water, and the plants will grow up to the surface, and then they'll hit the light. They'll reach the surface, they'll breach it, and they'll start growing out. And when they start growing out, they go freaking buck wild because they're getting all this light and all this CO2. And what they'll do is they'll let the plants, get about, I don't know, however long the plants are to be sellable in the fish world, like inclinata or Loelia cuba inclinata. That's usually about 12 inches. So they'll probably let it get about 12 inches above the water line, and then they'll cut right below the water line. And what that does is, that way when the plant starts growing, they'll cut it like right here. That way it doesn't start growing submerged leaves, and then it'll start growing right back up. And next week, 2 weeks, or however long it takes them to cut them, they cut them again. They send out new shipments. That's how they grow immersed, because it's faster. But it kind of serves it kind of causes a little bit of problems. It can cause plants to melt, and sometimes you can absolutely lose plants. And I'll show you what this inclata is doing. Loewigia cuba inclata is a different species of Loewigia, and right now it's under some intense lighting right now, and hopefully you guys can see this with the light. I'm sorry the light's so damn bright right now, all the lights are on, but you guys can see these leaves are starting to get really red, and that's because of the intense light. What that does is the red comes from a different couple things. It comes from one, good CO2 and good iron and good nutrients, and then it comes from too much light. When plants get too much light, the red acts as a defense mechanism, and then you got the other thing where the plants only absorb. Okay, that's too much science for this video. But guys, when you get these plants in, sometimes they'll be fine and they'll get these round leaves like this. With the new growth, as you guys can see, you see these leaves right here? They're narrow. That's what Loewigia inclata is going to look like when it's submerged, not immersed. But these narrow leaves are the new ones that are adapted for water. They're meant for water. The plant, and you can tell this plant is really healthy. These grew out within a couple days, and you can see little nods down here and there, and that's going to grow into submerged leaves, and they're going to be, you know, adapted for underwater growth. Now, sometimes inclata is a very hardy species to go through the transition of above water and below water, immersed and submerged. But some of the plants are a little more delicate about that. And what you can do is, I know we've seen some people on YouTube, I'm not going to call people out, they'll float their plants. That's good, that's good. That works sometimes too. But sometimes for those really delicate ones that are grown above water, immersed, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to play a couple games with it. Say this is your water level, right? Because this is your water level. Say I'm sitting a pot or a cinder block or something, I don't know. Say I have a cinder block in the tank or a pot. Okay, what I would do is I would have it all the way at the water surface. So if I've got to put a couple more pots or a couple more cinder blocks under this, I want it all the way to the water surface, and then I'm going to plant my stem plant or whatever it is. Amazon swords can adapt really well. You don't need to do this. But some of them delicate stem plants that are above water, you have to have the pot at the water surface and plant them in there. And then next week, probably a couple days, drop it. Let it get adapted, dropped it. Let it adapt, drop it some more. Let it adapt, drop it some more. And when you finally get to it, you're going to have it all the way dropped into the aquarium. The plant is going to be fully submerged, and the leaves should be at this time adapted to the water and probably have submerged leaves at this time. Hopefully. Sometimes the plants can stress through that. It's a hit or miss sometimes with that, but it's not too hard. You just got to take your time with it. Sometimes if you got immersed leaves like this and you stick them right into the underwater, the plants are meant to absorb CO2 straight from the atmosphere and aren't really adapted for the underwater CO2 yet, and to speak, and they melt away. But hopefully that doesn't happen. But what you got to do, guys, like inclata, it's a very hardy species. You can just drop it in there and it'll get its new leaves. Some species you got to slowly drop them down. Sometimes you can float them. And guys, that's all it is to it. You just got to be patient with it. When you get these leaves in, don't say, oh, this is not what I ordered, this is not what I wanted, blah 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 blah, I hate it, they sent me the wrong shit, the people don't know what they're talking about. No, you don't know what you're talking about because you didn't know it's the same species. Now guys, I actually have this plant for sale up online. The clippings I'm taking, I'm growing them out, and you know what I do, guys, is when these plants get too big, I'll put them in a separate holdout pond or tank or something to grow them out or to sell them, and then they'll go straight to you guys. So if you guys want to get some inclata, or I think right now I'm letting some of these plants grow, but I think I've got walleye chai back on there. I think I've got wisteria and inclata. Not much right now, but things are regrowing because I've just sent out like a shit ton of orders. So guys, if you want some inclata or anything, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Later.